On this week's UBC From Here, taking a moment to appreciate the environment around us.
Most campuses are often set in urban settings. The students are somewhat separated from the nature that they may be studying in terms of biology or whatever. Here we're sitting immediately adjacent to the forest, and we have a nice wetland in behind us, and that's somewhat unique.
An MD PhD student recognized for his achievements.
I was fortunate to be named a recipient of the Vanier Canada Graduate Scholarship, which has brought with it a lot of great opportunities, certainly a lot of coverage, and has brought a lot of attention to the research that we're doing, which is always very valuable.
And studying polyamorous relationships.
There's a lot of stigma surrounding non-monogamy and an assumption that people who choose to participate in non-monogamous lifestyle arrangements, that there's something fundamentally wrong with them, that they're potentially psychologically unhealthy.
From drainage of water off of the... Most campuses are often set in urban settings. The students are somewhat separated from the nature that they may be studying in terms of biology or whatever. Here we're sitting immediately adjacent to the forest, and we have a nice wetland in behind us, and that's somewhat unique. We can easily take students out of class and in 5 minutes be walking in a pretty natural environment.
UBC Okanagan campus is quite unique because it is still kind of in an urban environment, but it's kind of on the edge. It's a little bit out of the city. There's quite a bit of undeveloped areas and areas that are being developed. So the BioBlitz will give us a great opportunity to kind of yearly assess what's changing with the Okanagan campus. So what kind of life is on it right now, and after a little bit of development next year or the year after that, what will be showing up and what won't be here anymore.
Having a BioBlitz on campus is going to be very important in terms of future planning for the campus as I see it. It's important for us to know what's here so that we can protect it as the campus is developed further. We're also living here and studying here an environment that's one of the most unique in Canada. There's a huge diversity of organisms that we find here in the Okanagan that you can't find anywhere else in Canada.
A BioBlitz is basically just a 24-hour identification spree. We'll identify as many plants, animals, lichens as we can, hopefully down to species, but we'll kind of see how far we can go with it. Some of them on different campuses have gotten up to 800 species, so hopefully we'll get quite a variety.
I'm especially excited about this because it is really a student-led event, and this means that they are excited about the kind of studies that they're doing here and the possibilities, that what they can do here at the moment and also what they will be doing in the future. I don't know, I can't say that I've seen a female redwing yet this spring.
After having already started my PhD work on concussions, I ended up sustaining a very severe concussion myself that kept me out for upwards of 7 months. More than anything, it really opened my eyes to how much the concussion can impact your entire life, not just with headaches, but it really seeps into every aspect of your functioning, and that was very revealing for me and really illuminated the value of the work that we're trying to do here. I'm Alexander Wright, MD PhD student at the Southern Medical Program at UBC Okanagan. My background as an athlete probably sparked my entire interest in human performance and sport-related injuries. My research can be broken down into two main projects. First, which is based here in Kelowna, is looking at relationships between head impact biomechanics and control of blood flow to the brain. Now, when I say head impact biomechanics, what I mean is looking at both how often and how severely athletes hit their heads when they're playing their sports. The second project, using some new MRI-based imaging techniques to quantify myelin changes in the brain in the context of concussion.
The great thing about what Sandy's doing in terms of his project is he's combining his medical training in the Southern Medical Program with PhD training with me, looking at concussion and looking at a variety of different measures across a wide spectrum to get a better sense of what happens when a person has a concussion, how can you manage it after the injury, and then what can be done in terms of a return to play decision.
I remember during my first year before I had enrolled in the combined program, when I was just in medical school here, I felt like I really didn't know my way around the rest of the campus. The medical school building is on one side of campus, and that was really the only aspect that we interacted with on a daily basis. So one thing that's been really phenomenal as far as my overall experience with UBC has been the opportunity to integrate a little bit more with the rest of the student body and with the rest of the community on campus. I was fortunate to be named a recipient of the Vanier Canada Graduate Scholarship, which has brought with it a lot of great opportunities, certainly a lot of coverage, and has brought a lot of attention to the research that we're doing, which is always very valuable. It's also been very humbling and very motivating to be recognized alongside some of the other Vanier scholars that we've seen this year and in past years, and looking at the work that they have done and continue to do. To be recognized as a member of that community is very humbling and certainly challenges you to make sure that you are producing your absolute best work.
Memories are still fresh in the minds of Heat Volleyball after failing to qualify for nationals last season. Despite tying for the best record in the Canada West, the Heat dropped both Canada West Final Four matches.
Final Four for me was really hard. It was my first year coming back since redshirting, and I definitely felt the pressure. It was my first time being in that situation. It was my first time playing in Final Four, starting, and personally, I definitely felt it get to me. Same with the whole team. It kind of just seemed like everything was going by really, really fast. We didn't have the ability to slow down the game and just play. So I'm really hoping that we're going to work towards mentally getting tougher to be able to do that.
Last season was great, start to finish. We were in some great battles. We won most of them throughout the year, came down to Final Four. And the two teams that we faced at Final Four were teams that we didn't have great success against in the regular season. The first team that we lost to in the Final Four went on to win the national championship, and we were right there with them, fifth set. And then the team that we had to beat to qualify for the national championships after that, they were in the previous 8 national championship finals. The rest of the season was great, and even that result at the Final Four, I don't think it was unexpected. It was just below what we expected of ourselves.
We were all playing together really well throughout the entire year. Like, we were ranked first for a really long time. And then when it came down to the crunch time, we almost tried to do too much, and it didn't really pan out for us the way that we thought it would. And I think a lot of us were very unhappy, obviously, with the outcome, but we still have this year to take a good whack at it.
Struggling at the end of the year, just in terms of qualifying at the end of last season, has definitely motivated, I think, people, both physically and mentally, for this season. It was really tough at the time, but learning from that, I think we're going to be better this year. Just the way we're looking right now early in the season is very promising that that's kind of put behind us. We've learned from it. We're ready to move forward and just learn as a team and get better, and I think we're stronger from it for sure.
Everyone wants to go to nationals, but personally for me, I want to win nationals this year.
We had a big team meeting at Steve's house like we do every year, and we go over what we call our team conduct. During that, we kind of lay out our goals throughout the year, some individual, some team. And I think a big team goal is, of course, to make it to nationals, which has been for the past couple of years. But this year, another one of our goals is to actually really buy into that. Until we have every single person on the same page, it won't actually happen. And I think this year we really do. And it's kind of just believing in ourselves that we can make it past Final Four and not put so much pressure on it and make it a whole nother level to the game. It's still just the same game. I think that we are finally all on that same page.
There's not a team in this country that we haven't beaten. There's not a team that we can't beat. We've beaten everybody in Canada West. We've beaten anybody in the East when we've played them, right? We've been saying this for about 3 or 4 years now, but seriously, why not us?
There's a lot of stigma surrounding non-monogamy and an assumption that people who choose to participate in non-monogamous lifestyle arrangements, that there's something fundamentally wrong with them, that they're potentially psychologically unhealthy. But these negative ideas are largely based on no evidence at all. So I wanted to look at a representative polyamorous sample, a large sample, and really test those ideas. I started questioning my own beliefs about monogamy because it just seems like a lot of relationships are rooted in conditions of control and ownership in exchange for love, and that really bothers me. So one major characteristic that a lot of polyamorists share is an emphasis on the autonomy of themselves and their partners. They do typically have one primary partner with whom they share high levels of commitment and intimacy, but at the same time, they believe that love means they shouldn't limit their partner's freedom in that relationship. My study is on successful long-term open relationships, so consensual non-monogamy. I recruited through online polyamory forums and subreddits, Facebook groups, because the university sample that's provided through the SONA research recruitment system, it just wasn't really applicable to my study. I needed a slightly older sample. I was able to recruit 526 participants. It was really important to get a sample size of at least 500 because it gives you more statistical power when you're analyzing your data. You can trust your results more. Very few studies have been done on large samples of polyamorous participants. Mine will be the very first one to look at adult relationship attachment style, lifelong desire to have children, and the presence of children in people's lives as a mediating variable, traits of romantic jealousy and control, a couple aspects of psychological health, and demographic variables, so socioeconomic status. The hope is that through comparison of these predictor variables between a monogamous group of participants and a polyamorous group of participants, that we'll be able to explain the preference for a polyamorous lifestyle with an evolutionary explanation. If we are able to destigmatize the polyamorous lifestyle, then this has implications for future relationship therapy strategies and our whole understanding of compatibility. If people are able to admit without judgment and shame that they simply aren't meant to be in a monogamous relationship, then potentially they could save themselves and their partners a lot of heartache in the future.